Hi, how's your dog doing? Linus only learns languages through Duolingo for 5 minutes a day, making absolutely no progress whatsoever. Marcus Aurelius, on the other hand, truly learns ancient Greek through talking to native speakers and immersing himself in the language. If he were alive in the modern day, Duolingo would only be supplementary. So from my personal experience, when I first got into language learning, actually a little bit after I first got into language learning, a little bit after that, I heard about Duolingo and I thought it was really cool. I was like, oh, you can learn so many languages. So then I tried to learn, I'm going to pull up a full list of all the languages I've tried to learn on Duolingo, if I even have the app still. I'm actually going to check. Let's take a look. Just for fun, just for the memories, I guess. Oh, I remembered. Oh my gosh, Duolingo. Okay, so when I tried to learn through Duolingo, I have tried to learn Latin, Turkish, French, Swedish, Italian, and German. I think I maybe tried Hebrew at one point. I don't know. But yeah, I tried to learn a lot of languages through Duolingo. So I have experience. I know what this path looks like. But the thing is that many people want easy things to do rather than getting to the core. Trying to learn a language through an app, or just learning anything in general through an app, depending on what it is, it depends. But most times learning something through an app is like only using flashcards. All of this is kind of like, for example, trying to lose a bunch of weight by just not drinking one soda a day, by eliminating one soda that you drink a day. That's not gonna really help you lose weight. You know what I mean? Like, it's an easy thing to do, sure, but it's not the real thing that's going to really fix everything and actually get you to where you want to be. Also, apps don't really account for dialects. If I try to learn Spanish through Duolingo, it's not going to give me anything specific to what dialect I want to learn. Maybe it would just give me generally every single word I could use for the language, but then I might speak to someone using a word that they're not familiar with. It doesn't help you with learning Spanish spoken in Spain called Castilian Spanish, or Spanish spoken in Mexico, or in Guatemala, or in Peru, or in Chile, or Argentina. It doesn't account for anything. It doesn't account for dialects. It doesn't account for language change, really, at all. You should at least talk to native speakers to get a sense of how the language is actually used and spoken. Seeing and saying sentences like, yo veo un oso con 6 manzanas, I see a bear with 6 apples. You're not going to learn a language through silly and simple sentences like that. Actually learn how to speak it naturally. So what we can do is to truly learn effectively to have a lifelong skill for language learning and for learning in general. First off, I would advocate for the natural method. The natural method involves learning the language not as a set of rules or through its grammar or whatnot, but learning it to speak it naturally, just like a child would. So that way you're not thinking about, oh, is this the right tense for this verb? Oh, is this the right declension for this noun if you're speaking a language like Latin with declensions? Instead of thinking about it like that, or oh, well, how is this being used? Instead of thinking about it analytically, you think about it naturally and just use it the way you speak English or whatever your native language is. You just use it naturally and you just speak to people. You do it through listening and reading and writing and hearing other people speak, so that way you get a natural sense for how the language is actually used. For example, if you just learned it like this, traditional, the way that most people are taught in schools and stuff, maybe there are certain words that are shortened in natural speech, or certain words are kind of slurred together in natural speech, and you just don't know this because you've only learned it like, yo veo un oso con 6 manzanas. Or maybe, because again, it doesn't account for dialects, you'll never hear it as, yo veo un oso con 6 manzanas. You'll never hear it that way. You'll just hear it as an English speaker saying, yo veo un oso con 6 manzanas, or manzanas. I'm not trying to put people down for not being able to speak with the correct pronunciation, but it is somewhat funny. Also, apps should only be used as a supplement. Like I said earlier, using an app to learn a language is like just using flashcards and not doing anything else. What I think apps are the best for is for vocabulary learning and maybe some basic grammatical stuff. That should never be the way that you're actually learning a language. And also, I'm not going to give a ranking of what apps I think are good, because for the most part, they're all the same. They're all pretty much just like Duolingo and are not very helpful at all. So just use the natural method. Another thing you can do, like I've mentioned in one video and I mention all the time, is journaling. So you write down whatever thoughts you have in your language journal in the target language, and you can record yourself another one. So that way you get experience in speaking, listening, writing, and reading. So that way you can really develop all 4 pillars of language learning. Also, what you need to do is to find people to speak to. Obviously, that's how you're going to learn to speak the language naturally. That's how you're going to learn about idioms, or how different dialects speak, or how words are shortened, and how speech really works in the language, because it can be completely different how speech works in English or whatever your native language is. So I hope this video is very helpful for you. That's really all I can say. I hope it was helpful. Any other video ideas or any tangentially related topics or any related topics you could bring up, that'd be cool. But yeah, I think this is a helpful video because I know that a lot of people are trying to see if language learning apps are really helpful, and that's where they start. I don't think it's there are worse ways you could start with learning a language, but you should really learn how to speak like maybe some simple sentences there, and that's about it. Like, you should not try to learn using Duolingo. Don't waste your time spending 5 years every day using Duolingo for 5 minutes a day. That's not enough time to spend to learn a language. If you want the easy solutions, don't go for them. Go for what actually works and is most effective. All right? I don't have much else to say, so I guess our time here is ended. All right. Tell your dog to die.